Hello everyone, welcome back for another book review. Today we are talking about this one. So this is Llewellyn's 2022 Witch's Companion, A Guide to Contemporary Living. I got the 2023 book this year, and so I decided the content really doesn't age, so I decided to pick up this one. So this book honestly was pretty meh to me. The content wasn't necessarily terrible, there wasn't really anything very interesting to me. Now, I will say honestly, for beginners, there are some topics in here that at least you should probably consider. You know, for example, witchcraft and social media. Should you share your personal practice? That's still something that you need to worry about, especially still. I mean, 2022 to 2023, and probably forever after at this point, with the way the world's going, we're going to be online. It's something you need to consider. And then of course there's things like, do you worship the devil, and other questions you might be asked. And these aren't going to be in order, by the way. Normally when I do my reviews, you don't see them in the order I read them. And so I will just say, that question, still valid after reading this. I just recorded this book review. I'm still irked from this book, so I'm sorry if I'm not happy and fine, because I just want to burn that book. You'll see that eventually. I don't even know if it's this month. It might be next month. It was a really bad book. Anyways, so yep, that question's still prevalent after things like that exist, and that was published in 2016. So that said, keep that in mind. Those questions sometimes actually aren't just ignorant people being taught that ignorance, mostly from Christians. I really haven't had Jews be mad at me, or Hindus be mad at me, or any other, hadn't had really, well, I take that back. I did have one Navajo, full-blood Navajo person, not directly at me, but say that witches are evil and terrible and horrible people. So I just kept my mouth shut and was like, yep, we're not opening that can of worms right now. So, cool. But other than that, for the most part, people are just, they see this kind of stuff, you know? So we need to still have those articles, to say the least. And then even for the more advanced people, this book does have some content, such as dealing with doubt. You might have that early in your practice, you might have that a little bit later too. Now, some of these I really was like, what? It's not for me. For example, psychics, math, and magic, balancing your existential equations. That, I didn't like that section. Same with open your mind to how to add cannabis to your spiritual practice. Personal preference, don't like it. So I also don't agree of putting alcohol into my practice either. So it's up to the individual person. But again, that was just one of those where I was like, nope, not a section for me. I read it, actively knowing it's just not catered to me. And sometimes these books do cover topics that are kind of trending. For example, cord cutting has been really popular on social media, especially TikTok. And so it has an article on cord cutting, ending lingering attachments. Some people are really against cord cutting, some people are really for it. I think the author did a really good job on this. Honestly, the way they present the information, it's a really great, this is one of the articles that I was like, I need to write this down for me. Most of this book I was like, whatever. That was one of the good ones for me. Then you also have garden guardians of talking about plants and stuff to do. There's just a lot. There's just random stuff sunflowers, allies in magic. Did you know about that? Probably not. There's just gonna be little things and just small things in here that as a beginner or somebody still relatively new to the craft, again, within probably your first decade of practicing, you would want to get this book. And even afterwards, there's still new stuff and new concepts coming out all the time. It's still a relatively new religion, all things considered. We're making our, communities right now. The past 100 years, give or take, is really when this community took off. And so we've made a lot of progress. It's going to continue along. And the whole communities at large right now are really getting shaped in the world we live in now. Of course, you've got Reconstructionists, but a lot of people are really challenging a lot of the old beliefs. Even from our pagan ancestors, they didn't get it right for everything, you know? There was still a lot of sexism and classism and probably racism that nowadays we're actively fighting against and being like, you know what, maybe no, let's do something different. And so having topics brought up to make you consider things in a new light, it's really important. For example, like there's secondhand ritual tools, and as we're becoming more eco-conscious in our day-to-day lives, like that's something you might want to consider, especially if you're newer and you haven't thought about that topic before. And even some other stuff like how to use the craft to make the decision to retire. Like there's just really random like content in these books that honestly, like you might not have considered. And so that's one of the things I do like about the Witch's Companions for the year. So all of that said, this is one of those books that I will probably start getting year after year, whether it's from the library or purchasing a copy myself. It depends on how soon the library gets it, to be honest. But if there's a lot of articles that I would want, I would probably start buying them, to be honest. However, if you're new, like a lot of these, I don't know how far back they go, but there's a lot at the library from previous years that you can get access to. At least I can with my system that we've got here in Utah. So like you might be able to get access to some older ones to get that content, let alone the new ones. These come out every single year. Now these don't come out at the beginning of the year like you would think. I'm pretty sure all of their yearbooks from Llewellyn come out in like autumn, just to give you a heads up. Most of the time these are going to be published around like Mabon or so. So do keep that in mind, because like the calendar in the back starts at like September or something and goes until like September, October. Like it starts early in the year. So do keep that in mind. You don't need to wait until it's like January to get these. It's actually going to start like kind of second half of the year. So I would love to hear your thoughts on these books in the comments down below. Are they something you get every year? Have you just picked up one or two? I would love to hear in the comments down below. Huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.